What's going on, you guys? This is your boy RBG, aka the Random Black Gamer, bringing you another update on Transformers Reactivate. And I'm not even sure if we can even call this an update because as of now, the game is still officially dead, so there's nothing really to write home about in regards to it. But I wanted to bring this to your attention because I think this is very interesting, and I also think it provides more context of what this game would have been like had it stayed in the hands of certain Affinity as opposed to splash damage. We're also going to talk about the main reason why it was actually switched over to another development team. But before we do that, I want to ask you guys to do me the biggest favor and like this video. Yeah, I know it's a bit annoying getting this request at the very beginning of the video before you watch it in its entirety, but YouTube's algorithm encourages it. So if you rock with your boy and you know I'm going to bring you that awesome content, then smash that like button. And if by any chance you just so happen to be new to this channel and you feel like I'm wasting 10 minutes of your time that you can't get back, then feel free to retract that like and give the video a dislike. Just rate the video. But yeah guys, it seemed like just a few months ago we were grieving over the fact that Transformers Reactivate had officially been cancelled. The announcement was made by Splash Damage at the very beginning of this year, and a lot of people had speculations on what could have possibly happened to cause this game to be cancelled, and there were leaked documents that suggested that it was due to poor management and a overall lack of direction on where they wanted to take the game. They already had to deal with a game that had pre-existing assets which had to be upgraded to Unreal Engine 5, which was a very tall order to fulfill, because if we're going to be honest, UE5 isn't the best game engine to work with nowadays. I know a lot of developers find it user friendly, but it just has a lot of issues which we're seeing in games like Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater, where the game looks pleasing to the eyes from a visual makeup, but the actual in-game performance is less than stellar, which can most likely be attributed to Konami not investing the proper amount of time to learn how the software works. And I can't help but feel like Splash Damage just went through the same ordeal where they just were trying to figure this thing out, but they were never able to fully put their finger on what works. And it just sucks that we never really got to see any official gameplay from them. The only thing that we were able to get was a cinematic trailer at the 2022 Game Awards. But thanks to some talented and dedicated fans, we were able to discover that we were going to get something years before we even got that Game Awards trailer, which was in 2019. And if you guys remember, I did briefly talk about this in one of my videos regarding an image of Megatron that could have possibly been featured in a cinematic trailer from Digital Domain. Yeah, that was actually the case, and that trailer has now surfaced online. Just gotta give a major shout out to the good people over at TFR Archives for actually bringing this thing to light. Like, they're a group of fans who want to preserve as much of the archives of Transformers Reactivate as possible, and they're going to be showing documentations on their own dedicated YouTube channel, which you can find in the description of this video. So check that out if you want to see what went into the inner workings of Transformers Reactivate, formerly known as Transformers Rise. But anyways, I'm going to go ahead and play the trailer to you guys, and then we'll come back with the rest of my commentary. So as you see, the trailer that we got right here was going to be totally different from the trailer that we ended up getting in 2022. And I'm pretty sure all of you guys would agree that this was the trailer that should have been shown off in the 2022 Game Awards, because it's action-packed and it's very reminiscent of the trailers that we got with Transformers Fall of Cybertron, which funny enough were produced by the same studio, that being Digital Domain. So the developers definitely knew what the fans were expecting to see, and they were actually giving us that vibe that we got all the way back with Transformers War for Cybertron and Fall of Cybertron, with Transformers Rise feeling like the true successor to both of those titles. And what I really love about this trailer, right, is that they lead us on to believe that Megatron is going to be going head to head with his rival Optimus Prime, only to reveal that these guys are actually going to be working alongside each other. Stuff like that really gets the brain running, and it leads you to ask more questions about what's going on, because we already know that Optimus and Megatron are the biggest rivals. And top of that, onto the fact that you have Starscream and Bumblebee in the mix, and you also see a similar instance of them working alongside each other. Yes, man. This is what we should have gotten, not that depressing trailer we got in 2022. There's also the gameplay that seemed to be about 70% done, which we were able to get glimpses of via leaks provided by a few other fans such as RoboGamer1HD, that showed that Certain Affinity had a clear vision on where they wanted to go with this particular project, where they were trying to come up with something that was similar to what we got with Transformers War for Cybertron and Fall of Cybertron, except make this a more realistic adventure where you're fighting off against these very destructive aliens. And as you can see by this cinematic trailer, as well as most of the promotional material that we were able to get, the characters were going to actually utilize normal weapons as opposed to integrated weapons. Everything seemed to be on the up and up until there was this subtle shift in development teams, where Certain Affinity would be taken off of the project and it would be handed over to Splash Damage. And for the longest time, many people were pointing the finger at Hasbro, since they're the one who owns the license to this property and they make the final calls at the end of the day. But no, apparently the culprit behind this shift in development has to go to Leiyu Technologies. Apparently they were clashing with Certain Affinity over what direction they should take the game in, because instead of giving us this solid third-person shooter AAA Transformers game like Certain Affinity wanted to do, Leiyu Technologies wanted to do something a bit different. And TFR Archives went out of their way to shut down any assumptions and rumors that Hasbro had something to do with this, saying, and I quote, "I want to say something before everyone gets mad at Hasbro. For once, TFR getting the can was not their fault. Blame Leiyu Technologies for their insistence that TFR be one-to-one with Warframe, which caused the working relationship between Certain Affinity and Leiyu to collapse." So yeah guys, if you remember all the way back when we first started getting murmurings about this game's existence, there were rumors going around that this game was going to be a Warframe title with a Transformers skin slapped on it, and we were expecting things to play in a similar fashion to those of the Warframe games. And now this right here just confirms that suspicion, and it makes total sense, right? Because Leiyu, they are a Chinese video game holding company, and usually when it comes to these types of companies, right, they don't necessarily care about what goes into the product, only that it could actually make them a lot of money. That's what they're in the business of, taking these licensed properties and turning them into gangbusters that are going to make them a lot of revenue. And that's essentially what happened. Corporate greed caused this project to be derailed, and fans were robbed of getting something very awesome. We were never able to officially get that awesome cinematic trailer by Certain Affinity, as well as the gameplay that they were cooking up. And they were planning on cooking up a lot, man. Like, if you go back and look at some of the images of the characters that they were considering putting in the game, such as Jazz and Hot Rod, who was apparently gonna be a chosen character over Bumblebee, Certain Affinity had a clear direction on where they wanted to take this title, and it's just unfortunate that corporate greed just stepped in and derailed all of that momentum, man. I find it funny that they invested in Certain Affinity to do this title in 2017 when they had previously purchased Splash Damage the year prior. So when you look at those details, it kind of makes sense why we got the developer that we got later on into the game's development, and why it never saw the light of day on store shelves. So yeah, but anyways guys, I hope you enjoyed this video showing you what could have been with Transformers Rise, a game that could have been amongst the pantheon of great Transformers titles such as the Cybertron games and Transformers Devastation, but unfortunately its momentum was instantly killed the moment corporations got involved and started worrying about money and stocks and things of that sort. But what are your thoughts on this? Do you feel like there's a chance that maybe Hasbro or some other company will try to resurrect this game, or do you feel like it's a done deal? Let me know in the comment section below. As always, I ask that you like or dislike the video. It doesn't have to be a thumbs up, it can be a thumbs down. But if you really enjoyed this video, it would help me out tremendously if you shared it with all your friends and followers on all the different social media outlets. Sharing really makes a difference. But once again, this is your boy RBG, aka the Random Black Gamer, signing out on another video. I'll catch you guys later. Peace out.